Hi guys, welcome back to Fata Morgana, and today we're going to be seeing the Lord's interaction with Yukimasa that convinces him to just begin doing the really awful acts of imprisoning Morgana and selling her blood for profit, kind of being one of the people that are contributing to that scheme, just so that he can save Pauline. This is where it all begins. This is the turning point in the past which causes the future of the story, which we have seen. So basically this is probably one of the most influential parts of the story we're seeing right here. What is this? This little white rectangle. It looks so out of place. Anyway, I don't know why I noticed that, but before I mention what was in the backlog, I love this background so much, and this checkered floor looks so liminal. It just doesn't look like something that is of this earth, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, it is. It's not as if there's anything supernatural here, but if anything, that is something that is quite surprising about Fata Morgana. There's a lot of supernatural, but there is a lot of normality as well. There really is. Oh yeah, that was so interesting. I love this part of his character. Yeah, you can tell that he is still the sick man that he has always been, but at the same time, I mean, Pauline is the person who really suppresses it. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and I don't disagree with this. I really do think that is the case. Yeah. Yeah, but what I find interesting about especially this part here is, so I suppose she wants to be feeling as if she is more of a regular girl, but obviously she can't, because that's impossible, because, well, to be fair, I mean, she is a regular girl, it's just her position, her career makes it so that she's different, and obviously it's kind of like a hierarchy, if anything. She's the person who is kind of like the object of people's respect. So I suppose she always hasn't really been regular as a result of this job. But I suppose then she just kind of questions what she is doing and what she is living for. So then she works harder to justify what she is doing for herself, I think. Yeah, totally. It's not only a church, it's an orphanage as well. Yeah, the Lord has basically given Yukimasa the best opportunity possible, and I really do wonder how he's going to address himself. Yeah, fair enough. No, he's known what he was doing from a very young age. I'd say he's maybe mid... No, I'd say he's late 20s. I don't know. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll see that when I believe it. I.e., I will never see it. Interesting, I'm surprised he knows. I mean, then again... No, I do wonder why he knows. Yeah, totally. I see. That's really interesting to think about the fact that all of the slaves are surprisingly documented. That is not something I would have been expected. Sorry, I would have expected at all, to be honest. I would have thought they would have all just not been cared about and they would have been totally neglected, but I suppose they have to be documented. Even in a time like this, just in case anything like this happens, so appropriate action can be taken if they need to. And my god, it really just shows how determined they are to catch him as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but this guy does not keep a lie in very well. Seriously. I mean, at least put up a little bit of resistance. He's very honest, which is not really something I mean, to be honest, there are so many indications that the Swordsman is a good person at heart, and this is kind of an indication, if you ask me, because there's just such a lack of ability and instinct to lie, which a lot of bad people would have. There's none of that. He's very, very honest, and he doesn't even think about being honest. He's just instantly like that. Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, I do wonder. Yeah. He'll probably kill him right there. Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Yeah, how many of his slaves are going to be killed if Yukimasa becomes one? Yeah, you can tell that this is a properly nasty, power-hungry arsehole, really. You just have no respect for those people who are lower than you in the hierarchy, i.e. slaves. But let's be honest, it's not only his fault, it's culture's fault as well. God. He really... Isn't it interesting that it just looks like he is so happy when saying about this and just totally belittling him. Just making him sound so pathetic. Yeah. Yeah, that is ironic. He's very, very rude. But at the same time, does Yukimasa deserve to be treated like this because he's a murderer? That's kind of what makes a lot of this difficult. How do you view treatment like this? Is it right for him to be treated like this even though he has been a serial killer for years? Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Isn't it interesting that he tries to provoke him before he gets down to business? I suppose that's just so that he can be more stressed and maybe he can feel a bit more manipulated, and that will result in him being able to accept his proposition with a greater chance. And what happens if he doesn't? A little something I'm working on. Oh yeah, it will. Oh, that's an interesting motive. And he's got a secret, so just 2 prices of blackmail for one. Well, that's the blackmail, sorry. 2 benefits in one, I suppose. I'm not going to tell you a secret, and I'm also going to treat you well. Or at least in an ideal world. Probably not in reality, but okay. Yeah. Exactly. I suppose it's just because of her endeavours for charity. Oh, shit. Rather than Morgana. And, yeah. I find it very, very interesting that you get people who are totally at the top and they don't believe in this whatsoever, and if anything they are real outcasts. They use the kind of hive mind of society, if you like, to their complete advantage. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why the church looks so different. I completely forgot that this was a different church. I thought there was just a new angle we hadn't seen before. Oh my god. Yeah, completely forgot. Yeah, so you just basically... This is how you get somebody in a very good situation for you. You offer everything. Fair enough, it is very, very big now. Can I just mention... This is a bit of a ridiculous plan. This is assuming everything is going to go alright and assuming that he's going to get good return from said investment. what if it all fails? What would happen then? What if there was no profit to be made? And what if people weren't interested in Morgana's blood? I mean, I get that that was a really small possibility because of how easy this business was to take advantage of. But at the same time, what if that happened? What would have happened to the swordsman and the nun? He probably just would have said, I'm going, fuck you. And then, yeah, just drown in your own financial issues, dipshits. and then he wouldn't have seen them again. Actually, to be fair, I don't think the Lord should be taking Yukimasa lightly, because he is very physically powerful. God, you're just totally trying to degrade him. But of course he would, because the problem is, what the Lord is saying fully aligns with what Yukimasa wants. Fair enough. Oh, fuck. Well, to be fair, I didn't say humph. I'm not exactly the same as the Lord. Oh, God. I'd like to think I have a thing called a moral conscience. Unlike the Lord. Really? Sure thing. Yeah, isn't it interesting that you are acting on the rumours without even knowing the truth and without even thinking about what the rumours are like? But of course you are, because even if the rumours aren't true, profit, 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 profit. Yeah. Money. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. He really, really is treating him like, well, he says, his dog. And an inferior. Not for free. Yeah, exactly. There's always a catch. I mean, it is basically selling. Just you're not exchanging money, you're exchanging tithes, which have monetary value. Exactly, and this is the thing. This is what a lack of education does to people. People believe stuff, and they don't just believe it, they believe it easily. Seriously. They will, yeah. Yeah, totally. How much of it is going to be used to support her church, and how much of it is going to be used to support yourself? Yeah, true. Yeah, wow. You, firstly, don't even view her as a normal human girl, which is what she is. But secondly, you're absolutely awful in just really undermining the value of a life and somebody's existence. And also scammed, but I mean, it was technically a scam, but partly it wasn't because of the placebo effect. Oh my god, what was he saying? Will I have to? Maybe he was going to get his bodyguards on Yukimasa, so it's just, if you don't help, well, you will help. There is no if you will not help. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, he's just instantly playing the part of somebody the Lord would like. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that he isn't even questioning just how wrong this is? I just think it's so funny to think about the fact that the Lord just casually has, oh, I don't know, like a mansion that's not used. I mean, come on, how fucking rich can you be? But yeah, this is what happens when you take advantage of a thing called the economy. Yeah. Good things happen. Just need to do something with my webcam. I think I might move it a bit. No. It's better. I think that will be okay. Actually, no, I'm moving it back. Well, that was a bit pointless. Anyway, yeah, fair enough, yeah. Yeah, and it's really interesting because normally, I mean, a good example is how traumatized Mel was and how he literally threw up and how he had probably the most awful experience. That is probably how normal people would react, but killers, they're so used to doing it that they just don't bat an eyelid. That's interesting. So he's properly tried to gain a picture of the person that he is going to be asking on this proposition. He's very calculated. I mean, I'm sorry, but this guy is properly intellectual. I won't deny that. He's a horrible person, but he is intellectual. And I hate to say that, but, well, no, you don't have to be a good person to be intellectual. No way. This person is kind of my proof for that statement. Everyone close to you as well. Yeah, good question. Do you know what? He could not have said a better reply. Okay, person who wants to just not even bat an eyelid to locking up a human girl in an observation tower and skinning her for blood. Please kill yourself. Do you actually care about the growth of the city, or do you just care about the size of your monetary stash? Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, totally, yeah. I see that. Yeah. How many schemes has he done that have made people manipulated, and as a result of that, made people lose their lives? Who knows? And he has bodyguards. He never kills directly, but he's got other people. He's done acts that are probably as good as murder. I wouldn't be surprised either. I really wouldn't be. I like that conversation. That was really good. Yeah, no wonder. Especially because of the fact that we're seeing this CG. Well, not really CG, but background. God, isn't it awful just to think about how beautiful all of the surroundings Morgana lives in are, and obviously how hideous the next place she is going to be in will be. God, she's been totally tracked down. Yeah, fair enough. God, did you really need to cut off her arm? Isn't it interesting? It really depends on who you talk to, just which frame of mind you continue your life in. Yeah, I don't disagree. I do think he has something resembling a conscience. It's just he's convincing himself this as a means of justifying his really awful side. I mean, I do see what he's saying, but at the same time, I think the fact that you were able to be calmed down by Pauline, it just shows that you were somebody who has incredibly destructive tendencies and you need moderation, basically. Rather than him being somebody who is fully destructive. And nobody is naturally destructive. I'm sure there are lots of causes in his past that have resulted in this. Yeah, God, so this is Morgana's house now. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. And I suppose it's just kind of overcoming your tether and overcoming something that really prevents you from falling into this madness. That's kind of, I suppose, what really contributes to this. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, not for the people that cause increases in the sick and needy. True. He is a murderer, though. There is no two ways about it. Must have been very interesting for Yukimasa just to be totally turned away, and obviously the indication that his plan is going to be a lot more difficult. I'm just really wondering how Mel has gotten involved. It's probably by intervention from the Lord. Of course. You don't deserve them. Especially if you're thinking of killing her. Well, not really killing her, but immobilising her. I.e. giving her lifetime trauma. What do you mean by derision? Like rejection? Oh, contemptuous ridicule or mockery. Acting as if he is worthless. Yeah, that does kind of make sense. Sounds so much like division. Maybe it sounds like derivative as well. Not really though. Yeah, you don't have to do this. You really don't, and you are very strong. I get that you're a murderous psychopath, but you are strong. You could overpower them. To be fair, if he did actually revolt against the Lord, I really do wonder if he would then be able to totally steal his cash and then, I don't know, just be able to fund the church like that. But at the same time, obviously, it would all be traced back to him and the church eventually. Somebody would do it. But the only thing is, what if he kills so many that there is nobody to do it? That's the question. But at the same time, I mean, he's got ties through the entire city, so I don't think he would be able to kill everybody who would have some sort of interest in the Lord being alive. So revolting against the Lord is probably a really quite bad idea. It's interesting that he changes. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? You're just so selfish. You don't even think about the implications this would have for her. You really don't. It's surprising that he didn't break down the door, to be honest, and just resort to brutality, which he would always do. True. Yeah, isn't it interesting to think about the fact that there's kind of this moral debate about whether he should or shouldn't do this, but then in the end there is a justification to disprove why he should do this. Yeah. Can I just mention, I know I shouldn't be, I know this is a bit vulgar, but Yukimasa is kind of an adult and he's spying on a kid. I thought I should just point that out. But yeah, obviously that's not his intention whatsoever. He's a murderer, not a paedophile. And luckily he's not both as well. I don't blame her after what she has gone through. And then cha-ching. Yep. No, not cha-ching. What's a good sound effect? Oh, I don't know, just like the lighting of a bulb. Yeah. I swear there was a time where one of them, I don't remember, I think it might have been Mel, he hears something just instinctively and he checks. He doesn't see anything though, and that was Yukimasa, if I'm remembering that correctly. I don't know if I am. Yeah. Yeah, and Mel was living a very, very difficult life. Fair. Must have been really... It's just so awful that they think they're doing such good for her, but it's just not resulting in anything, and they couldn't possibly know. And this is why medical knowledge is so, so important. Yeah. Oh god. Why is she saying yesterday? Yeah, totally. So that's interesting. There is actually no intervention from... Wait, no, hang on a second. There is. Well, actually, we don't know that, but I'd assume there is. And I'm assuming yesterday she's probably... Maybe she was thinking about bringing up Yukimasa and didn't. It's fair enough that he'd say that. Yeah. Isn't it ironic? No matter what will happen, he's going to ruin Mel's life. To be honest, I just don't really get why he needed Mel. I mean, sure, she was skeptical, but I mean, I suppose Yukimasa was held back a little bit because he was kind of entranced by his voice and he had to really justify in his head why he should kill this person and why he should remove the first tether that he has. And I suppose that justification and the confusion of what was going on, that is what caused a difficulty in ability to break down the door. But it does feel a bit ridiculous that you would need to use Mel. Why wouldn't you just break down the door after you've had the change of thought? I mean, yeah. Yeah, and God, you can just totally see the malice of the demon here. You really can. I think it's really quite ironic just how similar this house looks to Javi's house in chapter 2. No, he's just that strong-willed. He really is being treated like a slave here. Yeah. Blood. Absolute horror. So it's going to be interesting to see the other side of this perspective. Mel just totally had a fucking panic attack, which I don't blame him. I would have. Oh God. He really had PTSD from this. Isn't it interesting just that difference? What can cause one person to have PTSD is just normality for another person. And it just really shows how exposure to things can really, really change how you feel as a person. God, it must have been... Oh, I don't even want to imagine how painful this is. Well, you're just gone. No arm. Isn't it interesting that the removal of the arm is totally meaningless as well? It's just so that Mel can have blood, so that he can constantly help the sister. I mean, it's just... How insane is that? She really didn't need to be harmed like this. I mean, sure, it definitely immobilised her and it really, really put her in pain, but why? There's just so much unnecessary brutality. There really is. This is a great example. Yeah. It's horrible. It really is. So is this. Yeah, so you're not only going to be really, really hurt in the worst way possible, but you're going to be betrayed by the one person that you thought... Well, the one person you opened the door to. The one person you respected so, so much. Yeah. It's horrible. It really is. And to think that Mel could have so easily prevented all of this and prevented the mistrust. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been easily, actually, but if he was less of a coward, he could still have feasibly done it. Yeah, Mel's just as scared as Morgana is at this point, which I don't blame him at all. Jesus, we're going to see how the Swordsman treats Morgana now. This must have been so unbelievably painful. It really must have been. I just can't believe that somebody like Yukimasa must just do something like this and see pain and just have such a desperation to... I suppose it's because it's just this instinct to prove that you're superior. And he's just not saying anything. He's just... And you can really tell that he's... I mean, obviously he's doing it because he wants to do it, and let's be honest, because he kind of has to do it, but it's just interesting how little he's kind of saying. He's really emotionlessly doing it, which for somebody of the character of Yukimasa is actually quite surprising, because he was somebody who really, really got off on the high of murder, basically. Oh no, shit, of course she would. Yeah. So inhuman. I can imagine what a burlap sack is, but I don't fully know, so I'm going to Google it. Yeah, okay, it's one of these. This is actually where I've seen them used as coastal defences. Well, these are more community ones rather than ones that have actually been fully approved of by, I don't know, just people with higher amounts of finance, like for example governments, or well, not really governments, but local authorities, I meant to say, and town councils, stuff like that. Very, very small scale. It's so barbaric, it really is. I mean, just to think about the fact that somebody treats human life just as lightly as this. But the thing is, that's the thing that's kind of terrifying about all of this. He can do that. He objectively can treat human beings like this because he is just so above everybody else. So it's inhuman. It really is. Can't imagine how terrifying this must be. I mean, you're just in the worst pain of your life, and then this. I get that Yukimasa was a slave, but I do wonder if he's experienced even a fraction of the pain that he has put his victims into. And I really do wonder what would have happened if he had experienced just a little bit of it. I remember this line before. Just absolutely ridiculous. That's even worse. And to think about the fact that you would do something this inhumane for your lover. Well, not your lover. Not even your lover, your tether. Money. Isn't it ridiculous to think about the fact that you can tell here how little Yukimasa understands her? This could have all been prevented if he had told the nun how destructive her charity and goodwill related habits were becoming, and then, maybe, instead of doing all of this, she could have just simply changed her lifestyle choice. But that didn't happen because they just don't understand each other. Isn't that ironic? The Lord. She's totally silent. Don't take it personally. Please fuck off. Can I just mention a very interesting use of language? Tossed. You didn't just put her lightly in. You tossed her. You tossed a actual human being in a bag, making her feel the full impact. Just another indication of how little he empathises with others' pain. The Lord's instructions. Yeah, fully fair enough. Yeah, I suppose he just thought about how it could convenience him rather than the spreading of information. Yeah, and to be fair, the excuse of being able to use the witch's blood is actually a good one, because he was doing that. Oh my god, you really are a scum. Yeah, you're just thinking, now there's a third party involved, how can I use him? How can he be of benefit to me? Yeah, in other words, he's thinking of blackmail here. He will just do anything to get money. Holy shit. Like Yukimasa was saying about him not being one of clean hands. Who of clean hands would be able to confidently say this? Who? What about Pauline? Pauline is the only person that would notice, I think. Yeah. Exactly, and that is how they ruined Mel's life. Or at least they tried to, yeah. Fair enough. True. He really is a sociopath. Bit more than that, but okay. It really is nothing. To be fair, he doesn't really trust Yukimasa. The only reason he's actually picking him is just because, well, I suppose, sorry, I just had to pause. I forgot what I was saying. But what is this? When I say he's a bit of a sociopath, I really mean that in the sense that there is so much guilt you could feel about in this situation. So many people you have made. Well, you have ruined two people's lives. And you've obviously ruined any possibility of a connection they could have just so that a plan that is beneficial to you can happen. And it's not as if he's doing this just so that he can live and he can obviously not be killed by the Lord. No, he is doing this so that he can be fulfilled himself and he can spend more time with the person he loves. Well, not really loves, but person he idolizes. It's not even love. It's just, I suppose it's really interesting when you think about Yukimasa yearning for peace, because he really, really wants it. He never really thinks he does, but at the same time, if he didn't really want peace, why would he have so much of an appreciation for Pauline, and why would he do anything to protect her? That's my question. And even better question, would he do anything? His relationship with Pauline is kind of like... It's kind of like a metaphorical indication of how much he wants peace. He will do anything to protect the peace and to protect, ironically, himself from himself. And when I say that, I mean to protect himself from the psychotic side of himself. Obviously, he does have those instincts, but is that really a way of feeling happy? Of truly feeling happy? Yeah, isn't that funny? People don't go messing with him as a result. To be fair, he has been assassinated lots, and it is interesting. Yukimasa has been the perfect candidate. So why is Mel there? I think this is just bullshit, and it's just reputation. As opposed to the people he does have work to give to can feel more valued, and they can feel like they are making more of a difference, and they are special themselves because they have been picked by He who is holy, the Lord. Nah, I'm just kidding, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but like, you get what I mean, hopefully. No, you cannot, because I don't think she would be smiling if you did. I don't think she'd be a very good tether. You probably kill her in the end. He's building a new church, interesting. He did not build anything. Yeah, she's only the best of the best. Other people do. I mean, it's kind, and obviously she does it because she wants to. Because she wants to feel fulfilled as a person, but just how far is she going to go? I mean, I'm sorry, but I know that you want to help people, but you've got to look after yourself too. And I just wonder how much she will be able to look after herself once this new church has been built and... Well, no, once she has been told the new church has been built and she's been sent there. Interesting that this question was asked. And that dishonesty, you just want to feel satisfied with yourself. You do want to help people, sure, but that is the reason for it. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see the new church now. Oh, we're going to see the dark side of the new church. Yeah. God. She's just not even saying anything. I find it surprising to think about the fact that Yukimasa isn't really fulfilling his demon side here. And he's actually being... I mean, obviously he's being horrible, making her stay here, but at the same time it's just interesting that he doesn't treat her with more brutality. It's just another indication that maybe he isn't naturally brutal. Oh yeah, that broke her. Well, no wonder you're keeping her in the worst conditions. Of course it was. But it's also this new development that has really just felt like a complete middle finger to her. God, it must be so awful for Morgana just to be able to hear what she probably thinks is the most disgusting voice of the most disgusting man she has ever seen. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And what for? Just for... Well, ultimately the Lord. It's kind of everybody has a motive that obviously reveals a big flaw in their personalities. And obviously the Lord takes advantage of that. But obviously the Lord has a flaw in his character to be so unethical. And not even bat an eyelid as well, let me add. God. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Oh, of course he did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. The city would not be what it is now if it wasn't for Morgana's horrible sacrifice. And it's disgusting. It really is. It will be interesting to think about what will happen if Morgana lives. God, that really will be. Yeah, it's a good word for it. It just shows how you have totally destroyed somebody's life just so that you can live with yourself, really. Isn't it? He so easily offers a way out. But yeah, no wonder. Wow. Isn't it interesting just how much he has changed? But I suppose that does kind of make sense in the way that he has been rejected by his tether, and everything that he was doing to make it so that Pauline was happy has just been totally realised to be a lie. There's meaninglessness and also rejection, and I suppose that really, really adds up. He's properly changed. I mean, sure, it would be able to take out his revenge, but will that ever help? It would not accomplish anything. And to be fair, thinking about more strategic point of view, he might be very, very useful when we confront the Lord. True. Something he never realised. Fair. Said from the person with probably the least honour we have seen. I do wonder who has the least honour, him or the Lord. And I think I would make an argument for him, but we don't exactly know the Lord's backstory, and I think that's another thing to look forward to. This chapter is really filled with things to look forward to be honest, and just to see how everything parallels with what we know in the previous chapters. Yeah, he's being very, very supportive of Michel and just saying it is ultimately his decision and he will not do anything that forces this. Fair enough. I see that, yeah. Yeah, and Pauline, for example, you just do everything. It's not for her, it's for yourself. That is why this all happened, yeah? He still had it, but obviously then, yeah. Yeah. He's very, very submitted and he feels a lot of pain, which you can tell from his expression at the moment. That was kind of the theme I was really elaborating on as well. And to be fair, I mean, the worst thing is he saves Morgana, and then as a result of that, he kind of gets into the high of killing people, which he probably always had, and then he just kind of loses himself. He has potential to do something for another person, but then he just stops. And after that, Pauline comes, and he may have wanted to help Pauline, which could show some indications of selflessness, but they were ultimately just for his own benefit. Did he actually care about Pauline at all? Yeah, and we could definitely tell that in the lack of conversation, or just the lack of interrogation or bullying or just sadism that he had when he was transporting Morgana off to the cart. I think it was just that he wasn't himself. I don't know though. Yeah. Yeah, God, even the first line is something that must scare him significantly. There are so many indications that Yukimasa does have a conscience, but the only thing is he lies to himself that he is fully destructive. He refuses to see the part of himself that may be innocent and may, for example, genuinely want to help Morgana or Pauline. But because he tells himself he doesn't have any of that, he doesn't have any of it. Isn't it interesting? Because I suppose Michel here is talking about, firstly, saving Morgana, but secondly, after saving Morgana. Well, I mean, I suppose saving Morgana includes getting her out of her current place and also being able to maybe make her recover, which I think is going to be very difficult and maybe even impossible. But if he properly cares and he puts his mind to it, maybe it will happen. I don't know. Yeah, he feels very, very guilty. And it's interesting to think about the fact that he really has realised everything now. But what made him realise? Pauline, of course. Realising the meaninglessness of everything. And that experience of Michel, that helped too, significantly. Yeah. Yeah. The fuck was that noise? Is my audio gone? Oh. That noise played at the worst time. Because I thought that would have been an indication that my speakers had stopped working. Yeah, even the cooking of human meat. And then eating it. Yeah, it goes two ways. Yeah. fair enough. And it doesn't help that he was so hungry, and with a lack of water as well. If he can totally defeat the beast within him, then maybe. That can change. You are aware of it. That's a good starter for change. Fair enough. Who wouldn't? Isn't it interesting just how similar this kind of reminds me of Yuki Masai in a way? The Swordsman, let's say, the one from this time period, just because of the fact that they I've got to kind of justify this. Yeah, maybe not. Because I suppose with Michel it's more anger to do with love, whereas Yuki Masai it's more motivations as a result of not even love, just admiration. And I suppose love is a part of admiration, so yeah, I don't know, they're not connected at all. They're very, very loosely connected. It is interesting that he has become properly neutral, because he thinks that if he does show his personal feelings, which, let's be honest, he wants to do, he probably despises Yuki Masai here as much as he does of the Yuki Masai in the present. But I think he sees that people have an opportunity to change, and he also sees that Morgana is somebody who really, really needs saving. So he will do anything, even this. Because people talk more if you are neutral sometimes. Yeah, I suppose for the lack of ability to understand Morgana. And for the white-haired girl related stuff. Yeah. Oh, okay, I get that more now, yeah. It must have been horrifying for Gazelle, it really must have been. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that is a very, very important lesson for not only Yukimasa, but everybody, really. Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Is it ever the right thing for him to do? To be honest, Michel has always been somebody, I get the impression, that he's always been somebody who has been badly affected by life. He's always been a victim. He's never really been a perpetrator of anything that would ruin somebody's life, really. Do you know what? I'm just going to stand up for a second. This chair fucking kills my back now. I don't know, I think I've grown. And it just, it's fucking horrible. Yeah, but that's why I need to kind of stretch it a little bit more. I'm trying to look into a new chair. Fair. She'll die happily. Or maybe not happily, but she'll die in a way that is not ridiculously filled with hatred and anger and malice. Maybe she'll even die peacefully, who knows? But I think that's very wishful thinking. Look at what Morgana told us in that conversation with Michel and Morgana. I mean, let's be honest, he's not going to. He's realised his problems, Yukimasa, so he needs to do it himself. But obviously, Michel is going to be the one who is going to encourage the different way of living, I suppose. Fair enough, and probably the hundreds of people you've killed don't either. He was. That is very, very true. And let's be honest, this monster that was within him and that was constantly increasing in terms of its power, that doesn't just appear overnight. There was some awful, awful cause that had resulted in this monster being a problem. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Nobody is truly... Well, I mean, everybody wants peace, even the most mentally unstable of people, which is what Yukimasa proves quite well. And not everybody is 100% a monster. If you've read Higurashi, that's a good example. I mean, people just constantly... I mean, Meakashi is a good example. Just Shion going totally crazy just for one motive, just for ultimately happiness. Just for the ability to be able to be with the person she loved, really. And obviously, when she realised that ability wasn't there, it's kind of total revenge for making the ability of her finding meaning in her life just totally vanish. And then obviously talk about Tsubahibi, definitely. It's just meaning of life whenever you see that. Tsubahibi. Isn't it interesting that he kind of explains what the beast is rather than just giving him a label? As simple as that. Yeah, reasonable. It's interesting that this is what he says. I mean, I suppose he would be past the point of no return, but he is not past that point yet. He may be able to make himself go past said point, but obviously that's the last thing anybody wants to happen. You would be irredeemable. Interesting. Yeah. Isn't it interesting to think about the fact that they don't really have the psychological knowledge that we do now? I mean, even just general knowledge that you can use to interpret stories without being, I don't know, a specialist in the subject. Like, i.e., bad life experiences before affect future, potentially, because of trauma, stuff like that. I mean, that's just common knowledge. But, yeah, it's just interesting how they don't have that scientific knowledge, and it's just the contrast in how a modern day explanation of something like this would be compared to this. I find that quite interesting. Yeah, I like that. Would you ever be happy, and would you ever be able to live with yourself doing that, especially after this? It would be easy, but life isn't made to be easy. I suppose that's what happened at the end of chapter 2. Yeah. I get that he had lots of mental instability which caused the murder, but there is always the question of, can you rightfully wish this person peace? But then at the same time you kind of can, because... Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. It's so conflicted, because partly I want to wish him peace, but partly I don't, because of how many people he's killed and how many lives he's ruined. But he has ruined those lives as a result of his severe mental instability and things that were not his fault happening, i.e. experiences that have influenced him in the past. But then when I kind of go on that trail of thought, I think we don't know what happened in his past, so I can't fully say that. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. You have somebody who is willing to go through this together. I like what he's emphasising there. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, fair enough. So it's kind of like saying, if you're true to yourself and you take the easiest path, other people die, other people's lives are ruined. Are you ever fulfilled as a person? No. If you go against yourself and you actively try to change yourself and your lifestyle, then are you going to be more happy? Maybe. Is all of this going to change? Maybe. Yeah, it's interesting, that. That does make sense. I mean, let's be honest, Pauline is the solution to all of his problems. And isn't it interesting that he tries to be the most decent, the best he possibly can, just so that he can please who is being his tether, so much so that they can continue to be there. Him being like this is just desperation. It really, really is him trying to be the perfect lover. Basically, he can be what he is being here to Pauline. Me too. It all depends on Morgana. Totally fair. God, Yukimasa being able to see the other way. Isn't that interesting? But this is what happens when you take the difficult path in life. You become a person that you could never really imagine yourself becoming. And I really like that message. It's really nice, actually. It's true. In some cases. In other cases, it's the worst thing you could do. But, yeah. Not in this case. Fair. Good on him. Yeah. Yeah, fucking change the world. Yeah. Yeah, he's properly confidently saying that. Isn't that interesting? Obviously, with a murderer like him, there's such a lack of ability of people being able to listen to him and him being able to be honest to other people and get advice. And I mean, that goes in modern day as well. Of course it does. I mean, you've killed people. Crying out loud. But, yeah, I suppose just being able to talk to somebody who is properly understanding and obviously who benefits from you having this mindset. It's the best thing, because he will do anything he can to help you, and he will be quite neutral in his approach as well. Michel will be a good therapist, let's be honest here. Dude, you're probably more suited for the job than some people who are paid paid to do it. But let's be honest, obviously Michel's ability is highly influential on the fact that and obviously the impact he's made to Yukimasa is highly influential on the fact that he's seen his future. Imagine having a therapist or something and they say, I know what you were like in your next life. Fully fair. Yeah, me too. Yeah, you've just got to say the right thing. And if you say the wrong thing, or if you say the right thing and it's taken incorrectly, that might not be good at all. Isn't it interesting that he keeps on thinking of him as an angel? Alright, so a missionary is a person sent on a religious mission. So cheesy. I like that. Isn't it interesting? Michel's probably getting really quite instinctively angry just because him being an angel was always conflicted with what other people have called him. I just don't really think he knows how to process it, so he just kind of treats it a bit like something that's hostile. Yeah, fair enough. And isn't it interesting that he's starting to believe this himself? Like, he's kind of doing what he's instructing Yukimasa to do. He's walking a properly different path of life. It was difficult at first, but now he just naturally does it. He's just gone through a lot of things. He is ordinary. Well, I mean, to be fair, he is not ordinary. You can't call Michel an ordinary man. He's literally experienced the future. But, yeah. He just doesn't think he's normal because of the extreme nature of how powerful Michel's words are. But isn't it ironic to think about the fact that he's intersex, and before that would have been something considered as a demon in chapter 7, seeing Michel's backstory. But now it's kind of considered like he's not a normal man, therefore he is an angel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody wants to... Actually, I don't know about that, but... Yeah. I must say I feel like that sometimes. I suppose your desire to be normal is reflected in your personality, so that then causes somebody to decide about the extent of normality of a person. Anyway, yeah. Yukimasa's struggles are over, so now I wonder if we're going to learn about the situation that's going to go on next and the plan for it. Hell yeah. Did it? Yeah. I don't know why I read about rather than to. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's going to be that easy. That is good though, the fact that Yukimasa will help. I think it's going to be very difficult. I think Yukimasa was an incredibly difficult opponent, but the Lord's going to be difficult. And remember Gazelle dying in the key section? That might happen here. And isn't it ironic that in the key section as well, Yukimasa has the potential to kill us? It's in a different way, but it's still the same here. So I think there's going to be something about Gazelle. Dude, where the fuck did Gazelle go though? Seriously. It's just as if Michel stopped needing Gazelle because he has become totally independent. But where is Gazelle? Seriously. Where is she? And why does she have the potential to die? Good. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a different supper to the one, well, sometime yesterday. Good plan. Buy himself as much time as possible. Yeah, fully. Not even a question. He made him encourage the peace, encourage the most difficult path sometimes might be the most rewarding and best one to go down. Sometimes it might not, but yeah. Not in this case. And Pauline, justifying the fact that Pauline is there for him. He doesn't need to be perfect. He really doesn't need to be perfect. Hopefully he does. Such a big quest. With so ambiguous of an ending in sight. He's done this much, but does he know? I've just got so many suspicions that this is not going to end in a similar way to what we were expecting whatsoever. So I suppose the person he wanted to talk to before the supper was Gazelle, or is it somebody else? Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, totally. You can never tell. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I think that's unlikely. No other people's core personality has changed. Yeah, very good indication that he might be. I mean, they don't even have the same names. Yeah, maybe. The fuck? Are you okay? What? Oh yeah, just forgetting about the fact that he's totally been tortured. Isn't it ironic to think about the fact that he has basically just... I mean, no wonder you can't feel your fingers. It must hurt so much. Well, no, it's probably gone from pain, but now it's just numbness. I wonder if he's ever going to recover. But, yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, his arm has probably got such a bad cut on it. And, such a bad wound. Cut is taking it a bit lightly. And then, obviously, no fingers moving. And then you've just been telling for, like, the last few hours why this person needs to change their life. I think that's hilarious. It's so ironic. Oh god, what's happening? Ooh, are we gonna get a little terrifying Indication. Indication of the truth, I wonder. Where are we? Is this Morgana's childhood? What? Yeah, I've got time. Nice. Me? What? You are disgusting. I just get the impression that all of this is fake. Just extort her. Why don't you? Jesus. And they're not exactly poor. Is she really? Yeah. Yeah, so I suppose rather than greed, which is kind of what I imagined, it's just making a living. Otherwise you starve. You will do anything to make a living and to keep going. That is ironic. I think that's very, very true. So true. I did not expect that to end like it did. Ah. Oh my god, we're actually seeing this. It is interesting that I is in quotations. It's weird. She even stands up to the Lord just because of how much belief she has in herself and what she is doing to people with her miracles. God, that must not have gone well. God. Yeah. It's insane. Fair enough. Of course he does. He's just not human. He really isn't, and it's just hard to believe that we are ever going to be able to get anything out of this person. He is the coolest of the bunch, it seems. Oh my God. Ironic. Oh God. He is horrible. I know, it's interesting. Oh yeah. You have to find one. You really, really are desperate. Right, in pursuit of the truth. Interesting. Yeah, we'll look into this tomorrow. That was really quite nice. It was a very interesting part we just saw. Very, very odd. And I think the most unusual part about all of that was just at the end how it really felt as if everything that was happening to Morgana was kind of having an effect on Michel's body. I suppose it went soon after because he's just that determined, but yeah. Anyway, it was nice seeing how Michel improves Yukimasa today, and also just getting more information about just the lack of a soul, let's be honest, the Lord has. And it's going to be really quite interesting. It's going to be very eye-opening just to see what is going to happen with the Lord. The only thing that I can think of is he's had assassination attempts, he's paranoid, and maybe he's traumatized from something like that. I don't know. I really don't know. That's the thing. The Lord is the least comprehensible character. I mean, the only things we know in Chapter 3 is that he was kind of somebody who always prioritized money, but then he found a love, and then obviously he was trying to feel that love, and he would have been able to feel it fully if it wasn't for Maria completely messing it up. So it's kind of, I don't think these things illustrate his character well, because they have external influences, for example Maria, and also the white-haired girl as well. Without them, what would he have been like? Because obviously that gives me more of an impression of what this is like. So we've seen how his character can be influenced, but we haven't really seen what his character is like without the influences. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I don't actually think... I think we're totally grasping at straws at the moment, and we're going to be really lucky to find anything that is accurate. It's going to be really exciting, honestly, and well, let's be honest, everything in this chapter is exciting. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.